Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of With Sonar. We are so excited to be back, and it is going to be a fantastic episode for us today. We've got another guest Sonar customer coming on the show in a little bit. But before we get there, Kyle, we had a week off, and now we're back, and we're in the home stretch before we get to the end of the year. How you doing with that?
Dude, it's a phenomenal time of the year. I love Christmas. There's not a lot of people. It seems like you either love it or you hate it, right? So I am a huge Christmas guy. So
awesome.
Wife made me get up on the roof. Had to risk my life there for a second. We had a frost the night before, but I love this time of year.
That's great.
But it also brings a little bit of volatility with it. It's always an interesting time because you're coming off of the Black Friday events. You have the produce boom of just getting all of the items stocked on the shelves. You got all of your items. I think one thing we'll get into after this though is electronics. Did you happen to run into any PS5s?
I most certainly did not.
Oh.
At this point, like, I'm just trying to get whatever's available. It was
You're
like
Xbox
or like PS5. No comment. But anyways, so what we need to do, actually, it might be my 13-year-old cousin, but maybe I'll Robert for him. So you know, I don't feel as bad. But no, like legitimately, I'm at the point right now where I was online the other day, I'm just gonna buy parts and build a PC, so I don't have to like worry about it. But they'll probably run into the same problem. Anyways. Yeah, no, a lot of volatility. I feel like this year, like every year, there's like a different buzzword that goes through. You know, like in 2017, during like, you know, the crypto boom, it was blockchain. Everybody was using the word blockchain.
Right.
This year, everybody's using the word volatility. And it's not stopping.
Well, like 2018 when we have like driver shortage.
And that was the buzzword.
There was always something going around, and this year it's just booming demand. We're in the roaring 20s here of the freight.
I like that.
Yeah, I love that. So we're coming off a little bit of COVID-19, bringing a lot of volume, a lot of different commodities booming, and then we back into just working from home, and everyone's just buying their commodities online.
Yeah.
So that right there brings a lot of different changes in supply and demand, and different supply chain routes are being adjusted.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, even what we're seeing on rate per miles, and I think that's a perfect time to maybe just jump into some of the insights we're seeing in Sonar. With Sonar, might I add, not in Sonar.
Hey.
So what are we seeing here so far? So really, as we went into Thanksgiving, naturally, tender rejections started to go up. We saw volumes fall right off the cliff, like they're supposed to do, like they do every year.
Absolutely.
And then we came right back up. But,
that's right.
But
so,
what do you see?
let's throw it up on the screen for everybody so they can see what we're talking about here. So what we've got is, let's see here. There it is. All right, folks, so look at blue. Ignore the green line for the moment. Just look at the blue line. That blue line that you see there, that's the overall tender volume level in the United States. So that is how much volume or freight shippers are tendering out on a daily basis, okay? So that's year to date as of this morning. So I'm gonna take my cursor here. So we were kind of like flatlining here around like the 15,500 mark. We had a nice little run up here right before Thanksgiving to 17,000. That was actually the highest we had. Not only is the highest year to date, it's actually the all-time high by quite a bit. And then we dropped off here in Thanksgiving. We expected that. We were ready for that. That's a very seasonal pattern. There was no surprise there. We saw the same little dip, a similar dip here happen around Labor Day. You had a 4th of July. You had a Memorial Day. So those are very seasonal. The Thanksgiving one is very big. There's usually one right around Christmas and New Year's as well, or right after. That will be another major dip. But yeah, we came right back up. Now let's take a look at the green line here. Those are the tender rejections. So that is the rate or the percent of that blue line, the percent of those loads that are being rejected or declined. So that's forcing shippers to have to go through their routing guide. So we're actually sitting right at 25%, 24.99 if you want to be technical, but we're right at 25%. And we came down a little bit from the high at 28.5% right around Thanksgiving. It's come down a little bit. If you're a shipper, don't get excited. You're still paying a massive premium.
No, we're even seeing rate per miles persist. So even though we're seeing rejections start to come down and volumes back up, which would naturally tell you that there's, there's less of that sentiment from the carriers rejecting freight. People are upholding those contracts more. But we're still seeing spot market really boom.
Well, remember, tender rejections have only declined a little bit. It's nothing significant, and this is at a national average. So there are actually some lanes where rates are beginning to decline. Now, that's not everywhere, of course. Like you said, there's plenty of areas where rates are still continuing to increase. But we have been looking at sonar where some areas and some rates are declining a little bit.
Right.
But of course, that every place is a little bit different, and we'll dissect that. We'll dive into that a little bit deeper. And also, too, please, we're monitoring Facebook as well as LinkedIn. So if you have any comments during the show or questions, let us know. But I believe is our guest ready to come on?
Hot take, right? We were
right.
coming in hot here, but yeah, we're having a very special guest joining us. Someone that is close to my heart. We met back up in Chicago, but Arrive Logistics, which is based out of Texas. Their director of BI, David Spencer.
Is that really how you can do the introduction? Come on, you gotta the people need to know who we're talking to here. You gotta dress it up a little bit.
Holy crap! You know what? You're right. I think I took the shine from my guy. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead. I just want you to dress it up for our viewers.
Okay. The man of the hour.
There you go.
The guy of the data.
Come on.
The man of the people. In its finest hour at Arrive Logistics, David Spencer here, Director of BI. What's going on, my man? How are you?
Hey, Kyle. Hey, Luke. Good to be here. Glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we've last seen each other back in Chicago. But how's weather? How's everything up in the freight capital of the United States?
Yeah, no. With COVID situation up here. It's as tough as anywhere. I think the cold weather has us all locked down and inside, but we're managing. We're used to it up here, and we're missing you, man. We got to get you back up here.
Oh man, yeah. As soon as our leadership here will allow us to travel again, I'm sure we'll be up there because our favorite thing, especially Craig Fuller. You were there at FreightWaves in Chicago. Chicago or Chattanooga? Which one's the best place to have a logistics company? So I'm sure we'll be back soon.
I mean, you just threw the threw the ball over there saying Chicago is the freight capital of the world. I mean, you might get fired tomorrow. For
maybe.
Saying that.
That's something I might be willing to just take it straight on. But Dave, so what you have is really unique, and the reason why we really wanted to bring you on is not just because you're a customer of FreightWaves and Sonar, but you guys are doing some very interesting insights at Arrive. Can you talk through a little bit of kind of what your focus in and how this Arrive Insights has developed?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's something we've been thinking about for a little while now, but coming into, right away when the pandemic started to have as big of an impact as it did, I think we realized we needed to kind of move forward with it. And it was a great opportunity for us to take what we were doing internally and how we were looking at, trends and data and information, whether that's related to market conditions or whatever it may be, and how do we create content that's really centered around actionable insights about, how to be successful in any market and, share that with the carriers and the customers that we work with.
No, that's perfect. And, it's all about transparency. I think we talk every week. Yeah. It's almost like the more data, the better. But how can you obtain actionable insights? And so with this, is this something that's going to go directly to your customer base, or are you going to kind of scour it as a marketing tool as well to prospects and customers? What's the focus?
Yeah. So, right now we have one main deliverable, and that's our monthly market update. Which, by the way, the newest one is coming out this week. So that'll be posted on on my LinkedIn page as well as Arrive LinkedIn's page. So have to get that plug in.
There you go. That's awesome.
Have to get that plug in, yeah. But that's our main deliverable right now. I think our focus has really been around. We realize when our customers and our carriers are thriving, that's when we're thriving, right? So this is something that for a while we thought maybe this is a product that we just give the customers we work with or give to the carriers we work with. But right now, this has been an opportunity for us to reach out and to those that we don't work with or we didn't have relationships with and put this out there and just see what happens. And to be honest, I've been even surprised myself with the engagement that it's driven, largely in the shipper community, really helping them navigate these times.
That's really exciting, David, and it's great that you guys have been able to help folks pivot during this time. Tell us a little bit. Let's take a step back, because one of the things we want to talk about today is we want to be able to talk a little bit about forecasting. But before we get there and take a forward look, walk us through a little bit of this year. You know, what has Arrive experienced? What challenges have you guys had to face this year, and then how has the company pivoted to take a leap forward during this time?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, well, when I think about 2020 and Arrive, like I think of us being incredibly successful. I mean, we had our challenges, just like I think everybody had their challenges this year. But if we were to rewind and think back to what happened right when the pandemic hit, the first thing we did, which I think was incredible, was launch our own proprietary TMS, all internal at this point. But that allowed us to transition immediately more than 1,000 employees to work from home, right? So right off the bat, that was a major win for Arrive. And I think our growth this year through these conditions has been incredible, right? So in 2019, coming in around the mid 500s, 530 or so in terms of top line revenue. And this year, surpassing 800 million in total revenue, hiring more than 300 people since the start of the third quarter. Really, excited about how we've navigated 2020 and the growth that we've been able to have.
That's fantastic and very, very impressive.
I almost fell out of my seat right there.
I know, right?
I was not expecting that, Spen. So that's really huge. And did that play a lot on just the customer base you had, or did it also play on you guys just being in the right position to win more freight in certain situations?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we've been trying to engage with our shipper base. We've grown, built up business with our organic customer base from 2019, and we've added a few blue chip accounts this year so far as well. So I think we've seen that network grow and become more dense as well in terms of how much business we're doing with the accounts that we have. But ultimately, that's from the business side. I think right now we're focusing on the insights.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, as you're looking at forecasting, what are some of your best practices, or when you're trying to look at a forward look, what do you look at first, and then how do you navigate into an actual forecast that you can produce to your customer base?
Yeah, great question. I think it starts with where we are today and how we got here, right? And there's a bit of secret sauce involved, but if I were to stay at a high level, I think it all comes down really to the basic principles of supply and demand, right? And how those relate to the trucking economy, whether that's, what are the factors that are influencing demand for truckload services, and what are the factors that are influencing the supply of that capacity. And I think, whatever those factors may be, and that definitely changes, right? This year we've seen consumer spending be like a huge driver of that conversation of what is driving demand in the freight marketplace. So we've shifted our gears a little bit on what are the metrics that we're following. But ultimately, in my mind, I think if you can understand the dynamics of supply and demand, understand where we are today, and be able to forecast what those things are that are having the biggest impact on supply and demand, you should be able to put yourself in a pretty good position to navigate the road ahead.
That's awesome, David. That's some fantastic insight. Something too that I think is really unique. So last week we actually had another one of our customers on. That was an asset carrier, or excuse me, the week before last. This week you guys are an intermediary, so you almost really have two customers. You have carriers as your customer in a way, and then obviously you have your shippers as a customer. What are you doing? How do you communicate, what's happening in the market on both sides to keep both parties obviously engaged, but to deepen those relationships?
Sure. Yeah, I think initially our main focus was on working with the shipper community, but the shipper community and the carriers that we work with largely care about the same topics and the same dynamics, right? There's one freight market and everybody's navigating that. I think for us, our content we believe is applicable to no matter what side of the equation you're on, but specifically targeting customers and carriers is something that we're looking forward to expanding upon into 2021 beyond what we're just doing today.
That's awesome, David. Thank you for that. What would you say, like, as you guys are finishing out the year here, right? You know, we're getting really close to the year, right? Are you starting, because different conversations that we've been having with different folks, especially on the shipper side, some are moving a little bit more towards, you know, shorter term bids. Some are staying with their annual bids. Are you guys seeing a similar trend in your customers requesting shorter term bids without revealing any secret sauce? Is that a trend you're seeing for the future?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something we're seeing. That depends on the level of sophistication of the shipper, right? So I think that's a great trend that I would like to see continue to expand. I think volatility, a lot of the thrash that occurs is because rates that are negotiated as long as 12 months ago are what people are working off of today. I think if we can shorten that cycle, you know, we're going to see a lot less thrash and a lot less of that imbalance in networks. That being said, it's still a challenge for you know, filling out RFPs is no simple task. I mean, it's not easy for the shippers. It's not easy for the carriers. So, you know, we'd like to see more development in terms of the systems and processes that enable that. But yeah, I think it's a trend we'd like to see continue. We have seen that a bit, but we've obviously still seen shippers looking for annual rates, right? And some that are just not even going back to taking rates at this point. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a trend that we'd love to see continue.
I think that's actually a fantastic point too, is, you know, when we, you know, I think taking out, you know, when you think about shorter term bids, I think it does help to take out some of that volatility. If you think about, if you're, you know, and part of the reason why I think tender rejections are so high right now is because the market tightened up and carriers are like, I can't afford to not take these higher rates. So if we, you know, if you negotiated rates 12 months ago and they're nowhere close to where they are now, right? Versus like if you think about the market tightens and in 2 months, you know, you're going to be able to renegotiate. Well, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, why don't I just kind of accept most of my freight today? We're going to be there soon.
Yeah, right? and you lower the risk. I mean, on both parties. So I mean, there's risk associated with both sides. So I mean, obviously, shippers want that long-term bid because it's easy.
Easy to budget.
Yeah, it's so easy. Let me just, you know, take this rate per mile, multiply it by the number of miles and the amount of time that I need it for. So obviously it's going to cause, I think, shippers to be a little bit more sophisticated, which will rely heavily kind of on, Dave, what you're talking about, which is, you know, getting these insights so that your shippers can become smarter. And so when you're in and almost becoming stickier within, you know, the Arrive community, is that what you're feeling already, just off the entrance of this program?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, transparency is everything, right? I mean, if we can be clear about what we're basing our pricing decisions around, that helps in every conversation, right? We're not hiding anything up our sleeve, right? We're putting out there the exact same information we're using to make our own decisions internally. You know, that's the whole point of this. Transparency in decision making, better conversations, better data, better decisions. Again, as our customers, carriers thrive, we thrive.
That's awesome. So what's next for Arrive? So you have this product going right now that's really going out to all your customer base. Do you guys have any new offices coming, or are you guys trying to expand in any areas? I know this may be out of the blue, little curveball for you there, Spence, but you know, what do you see coming forward?
Yeah, I mean, again, for myself personally, I'm really interested in continuing to develop Arrive Insights. Continuing to expand on the product offering that we have and working with shippers and with carriers. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. So for me personally, I think that's a huge opportunity, and I'm really excited about that. And I think, you know, for Arrive in general, we've made some huge investments in technology, to data and operations. You know, I think 2021 is going to be a big year for us. You know, a lot of that is going to be hitting the market. You guys are going to be you know, hearing our name a lot, and I'm sure we'll be speaking again.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I'm sure there'll be another Arrive Molo debate at a future FreightWaves conference coming to the cameras here soon.
The people want to see it.
The people love it. The people love it. They want to see it, and there's nothing like getting Pyatt and Silver on stage and getting them going after who's the best in Chicago. So
it'll be exciting for sure.
Well, perfect. Well, I think that'll kind of starting to come towards an end of what we have. We're going to stick here and finish this off here, Spence. But thank you so much for, you know, jumping on and you know, tell us where, if anyone watching wants to reach out and kind of get to know Arrive a little bit more, where can they get to know you?
Yeah, well, you can reach out, find me on LinkedIn, go to the Arrive website, www.arrivelogistics.com. Ton of information there. Reach out if you guys got any questions. And again, have to plug the market update this week. Be releasing that on Friday. If you guys are interested in being receiving that, please reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, David. For those viewing at home, we're going to stay on. We're actually going to take a look at a couple more things in Sonar here for the last, 8 or 9 minutes of the show. So stay tuned here. But anyways, I think that was great, Kyle. I mean, David's got some, a lot of good insights.
And that's a trend we're really starting to see across some of these large companies. Arrive, obviously, like you said, close to 500, 600 in top line.
Yeah. So I thought he said we're getting close to 8. We're going to close at 800 this year.
800.
Right? Come on, 600? What?
That's chump change.
Come on now.
Come on.
We're in the big boy league.
Yeah. No, but some companies of that size, whether it's some of these other slight shade of orange type companies, they're providing these similar insights, and that's really where if you want to be known as in some of these big blue chip type accounts, you have to be able to provide insights and be able
Absolutely.
to show what you're doing and why you're doing it.
It's not enough to just be able to find a truck. Right. That's not
Anyone can
enough.
do that. Luke can do that.
Right. I can do that. That's what I did. Right. But that's not enough. Right. You have to be like a leader, and it's not. And the other thing is, it's not enough to just shout buzzwords. We used, like you said, like everybody used to shout, oh, driver shortage. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything.
The ELD mandates, driver shortage.
ELD mandate, right? The tight no capacity. But again, that's not helpful, right? You need real, tangible data to actually back up trends and actually decide where and understand where things are moving forward. Something that I think, because David brought this up, right? Like he said, a big pain point for shippers. Like it's going to be very healthy for the market to go towards more shorter term bids rather than these long bids. It's going to be lower volatility. It's going to be healthy all around. But it is a big pain point for shippers, which I think we've got a feature for that maybe we transitioned to for the last few minutes.
Holy moly! Whoa! Did I just see a segue? I haven't seen one of these in weeks. Holy crap! No, that's phenomenal. I think that's a perfect thing. And so, what are we starting to look into? So we got Travis Ryan, who's one of our directors of the product team.
Absolutely.
And he's really,
brilliant.
He comes from the industry. He's bought and sold things multiple times.
Yep.
And so he's an entrepreneur. But what we're developing here at FreightWaves for the shipper community called supply chain intelligence is really going to change the way that shippers really review their route guides, understand where their risk is, and let me just do it really quickly. I mean, I want to showcase to my leadership that I'm doing something extremely well and impactful and saving the company the money, and that's what this is going to do.
So there's a couple of ways that we think about this. The first tool, which is currently live in Sonar, is called Lane Scorecard, and that allows you to upload your lanes in a mass bid. In fact, don't take my word for it. Let me show you here. So we've got it up on the screen. I'm going to do a quick refresh here, move that over, and I believe I've got about 5 or 6 lanes saved. So I'm just going to click that file, and again, you could do this by the hundreds or thousands if you wanted to. I've got about 5 or 6 lanes here for a quick sample that we'll take a look at. So I click upload. There they are. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make it a little easier to read. So let's just take a look at, and you can change the time frame, but since we're talking shorter term bids, let's pick a quarterly option. So I'll select this for 3 months. All right. So here's a good example. We've got, let's just look, Savannah, Georgia to South Florida, right? So on that lane there, you get a lot of information. So I can see what the price change is over the last 3 months, because again, that's the time frame I've selected.
Right.
But I can also see what the forecasted change is over the next 3 months, right? Yep. And again, these are the percent change, which is really helpful from a benchmarking perspective. If you want the actual benchmark rate, you come over here to the right and you can see those exact numbers. All right.
Bada bing, bada boom.
And then, of course, I'm not going to go through all of this right now, but you can have, these are price volatility forecast, scoring, capacity forecast scoring. We have an entire chart for how you actually read these numbers. Don't worry about them here. The point is, very, very valuable for understanding where things are going. The whole point of this version of the tool is all about forecasting. Where are things going? Where is capacity going? Where is the volatility and price going? Where is the actual price going? Where should I price my freight, right? The other side of this tool is more around the benchmarking side. Kyle, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so really what this is...
Which we're not looking at here.
So what we've developed, and we'll be going live in January, we have some strategic customers of ours in the shipper community, some top top 100s there or Fortune 100s there that are using this data. And so what they've gained access into is close to $90 billion worth of contracted settled rate data.
Right.
And
on a daily basis.
On a and updated daily. And so what that's going to give you leverage into is, one, you're going to be able to upload your own rate so that you can see your benchmark rate, which is what you paid. And then from there, you're going to be able to see how the market is doing. How did you compare to the market based off of your rate per mile? And then we're going to break it down into your peer group. So others that are similar to you, how did you pay? Because we all know that heavier commodities they move at a higher price just
like
because
auto manufacturers are a good one.
Yeah, no, exactly. So they're bulky. They're not always just straight cubes, and they're heavier. So it's tough to transport them. Or even paper, super light, but it takes up so much space. So you have a couple different dynamics there, and so what you can really see is that how did I compare to the market? Am I beating the market? So am I the best at FreightWaves? Or okay, that's great, but how do I compare to Luke?
Yeah.
Who's right here sitting next to me? That's really what it's going to compare.
So basically, what we're saying is, let's talk food and beverage. So let's say there are loads traveling from Atlanta to Chicago on a daily basis, and I'm Coca-Cola, and I move that. I'm in the food and bev space. There's not a whole lot of value of me comparing my rates to, say, Ford, who moves on the same lane.
Right.
We can compare, and we're able to compare that to get a benchmark for where the market moves on that lane.
Right.
But if I really want a clear picture, if I'm Ford, I should be comparing myself to other auto manufacturers, which we'll be able to break down to, or if I'm Coca-Cola, other food and bev.
Exactly.
On the same lane.
No, exactly. And you're going to be able to download those insights. You can save those. You can look at, you can upload mini bids. You can be able to see, what risk is associated. Really manage by exception is where this platform is going, so that you just can roll up in the morning.
Yeah.
And now maybe you don't need to, outsource your transportation.
Right.
Maybe you're able to actually work more with less, because you have this ability to see, okay, these are the lanes that are going to cause me the most headache.
Yeah.
Now, which lanes are going to cause me the most savings, so I can save that green, so I can not spend so much money.
And I think the beauty to all of these tools, so the tool that we just looked at, which is the forecasting bid or mass lane tool, right? That is based on $250 billion worth of freight spend annually in the full truckload market. So it's really, really important to understand, like when we look at these tools, the data that's powering it, right? So when we look at it, you have a massive sample size in the market, so you can go in with confidence. Same thing, this other tool, which is more the benchmarking side to it, right? $90 billion in contracted, settled rates on a daily basis.
That's proprietary to us as well.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's, these proprietary data sets is really what separate. I mean, we have the tender data. Good luck trying to find that anywhere else. So, and same thing with this. No one else has these settle rate data.
Yeah.
They're settle rates that we have, which is just furthermore improving what the industry has visibility into. These are things that no one had seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. So going back to more shorter term bids, if I'm a shipper, all of us, imagine how many, because David was right. He's absolutely correct. It is a lot of work for shippers to run more bids. While it might be beneficial for them in the long run, it is a lot more work, and a lot of them just don't have the teams to be able to handle that. But imagine if they could cut the man hours in half by just plug and play. Right? There's always a little bit of art, always a little bit of finesse. That's not going anywhere. Right? So you're still gonna have to do that. But if you can cut down the amount of hours in half just to get the data, to then figure out, okay, now I know what decision to make.
No, it's spot on. So I'm really interested to see that. So that's going to be live here in January. So I'm sure we'll be having more conferences, and we'll be able to kind of showcase a little bit more. But if you are interested, you can always fill out a demo request form and try to get into the next round of beta testing. Because I know we're still adding people to that beta test round, so that people can kind of give us their feedback on that.
Absolutely. Or if you're watching on one of the social media platforms, Facebook or LinkedIn right now, leave us a comment. Myself and Kyle will be happy to get to you. Or you can always go on our LinkedIn page. You've got myself, Luke Falaska, and you can message me. I'm going to leave Kyle out right here because I'm trying to get my followers
No such thing over here. Chump change. Chump change over here.
I'm kidding.
Before we jump off, though, we are getting a lot of FreightWaves Slack on us. People are a little jealous of these things we got on.
Oh yeah, they like
these Sonar
like
pullovers.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. You got Sonar right there on the sleeve. I'm
naturally popped collar. I always forget I should probably put this down. But yeah, these are. If you know FreightWaves, you know we're a big fan of the pullovers.
Absolutely,
so.
absolutely. No, I think they look very good there. The brand and everything. So I'm just glad my fits. Well, anyways, folks, thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you next week and have a fantastic rest of your day.